lifestyle, many of us rush to give advice, offer a solution, or provide an answer for our coworkers, our friends, our family, our children, even strangers. But what if there was a better way? Nikki Karnowski of Metamorphosis Coaching, Consulting, and Training is joining me this morning with some practical ways that we can use coaching principles in our day-to-day lives. Good morning, Nikki, and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Jenna. Thanks for having me. You know, in coaching, we always believe that a truth discovered is more powerful than a truth revealed. So if I can help you discover, what you're wondering about versus me telling you, it's always going to be more powerful. So think about when you've maybe been given advice that was unsolicited. People just share, it's either not helpful or we listen, but it's not something we're really going to use. So there's really a better way that we can help. And that's by asking powerful questions. It's not always easy, but once we get into this, what we call the coaching habit, everyone around us can benefit, including ourselves.
Absolutely. I think we can all relate to being given advice that was unsolicited or not helpful. And I like the idea of helping somebody come up with their own solution, because then they'll likely own it a little easier. So share some of those things that we can start to do to practice that coaching habit.
Yeah, absolutely. The first is just remaining curious and just withholding that need to maybe share. As humans, we kind of want to jump in and just share what we have to input on this situation. But really, coaching is about remaining in a state of curiosity. So asking questions, things like, tell me more about that. Or what else comes to mind? What else do you have to share? A favorite of mine is to ask, if this was a friend of yours in the situation, what would you share with them? Or even just asking, how can I help? So these are all questions that can be very helpful.
Definitely, I can see how that can help dig into things, but asking questions like that doesn't always come naturally. Are there some other types of questions that we can think about?
Yeah, a very simple one is just to switch your why questions to what questions. Why can kind of put people on the defensive, but if you're tempted to ask somebody something like, well, why did you do that? A simple switch can be to ask, hey, what were you hoping for? Or what would you like the outcome to be here? So instead of why do you think that was a good idea, you could say, what made you shift to that course of action? So just that little shift in using that word to ask what questions can be helpful. Also, avoiding those yes-no questions. We want to kind of help people to dig down and get a little deeper with those things. And as always in coaching, when we're asking questions, just hold that space for that person and withhold judgment or that need to jump in and just, well, let me just tell you, just ask those questions and then pause and let them talk. It's so amazing what you'll come up with. And people will start coming to you because they're like, every time, I'm around them, I'm always getting these great things. Little do they know, they're coming up with it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's nice and simple, but also, of course, it takes practice just to make that little shift.
Yeah, as with anything, I think it takes practice, but just start. It's just those simple shifts, shifting to the little what questions, remaining curious. And a great way to do this when your kids come home from school, we're always asked, I think, how was your day? And maybe they get into something and we start right away to share our bits of advice, but ask them the questions and see what they come up with. It's really fun once you start getting in the coaching habit.
Absolutely. It's a good way to get involved, help out, but not be too overbearing. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Nikki.
Absolutely.